I had a nice bunch of asparagus, but didn't really know what I wanted to cook with it. Well, I had a think, I cut off the woody ends, then got them onto boil. It was pretty hot outside, and I was feeling something light and kind of salady. So once they were cooked, I got them into ice water to keep their crunch and colour, then I had a think about how to make a nice dressing for them. I found half an old shallot and finally chopped it up, as sweet alliums and asparagus work really well together. To soften the shallot's harshness, I squeezed in lemon juice, which would eventually cut through any fatty elements too. I added salt, nice olive oil, then gave everything a shake and a mix. It was at this point I craved a bit more colour and texture through the dressing, so I finally sliced some coriander stalks, then added them too. Once the asparagus were cold, I cut them on the bias into little lengths to increase their surface area ready for dressing, then tossed them in. It tasted great, but I wanted more colour and a bit more heat now the coriander had sent me off down a few different cuisine rabbit holes. I finally sliced a jalapeno for heat and to complement the coriander stalks, then chopped up cherry tomatoes for a bit of colour and sweetness. I had a nice salad, but now needed starch and crunch. I found a few corn tortillas left in the fridge, but I knew I couldn't really use them as they'd all dried out. This did leave the tostada option, however, as when fried, original staleness counts for a little less. So I got oil, then pork fat for flavour and a nod to Mexican food into a pan and fried them off until crisp. I had a lovely spring salad with loads of interesting flavours, some pork fat tostadas. I now needed to bind the two. A play on a Mexican crema felt like a really good idea to soften everything and add a bit of lactic acidity. I also wanted to add depth. I got creme fraiche into a container, then had a bit of a brainwave. I keep smoked cod's roe in the freezer, which I usually blend into taramasalata type things, but I tend to normally defrost it before I use it, which can take a while. I decided to finally grate it into the creme fraiche and hoped that it would almost defrost instantly, giving a smoky, savoury depth to the dish, reminding me both of smoky Mexican chilies and the classic British pairing of smoked fish and asparagus. I gave it a mix with pepper and salt, then gave it a try. It was honestly one of the better things I've stumbled upon this year. To plate up, I added my tostadas to plates, spooned over my smoky crema, piled on the salad and finished with a little more roe for colour. I wanted a bit more freshness, so I sliced up a few spring onions, scattered them over and got stuck in. This was a super fresh, light and interesting lunch that had so many fun layers of texture and flavour.